My name is Tracy Miller. I'm a motivational speaker. I speak to groups of businesses, nonprofit organizations, faith-based groups about how to find joy in their everyday life and how to work together to make a difference in the world. We're at the Bakersfield Junior League office, and they wanted me to talk about human trafficking, but also women's empowerment issues and how to motivate women to love themselves.
It is a $32 billion business in the United States, trafficking. Only one other business makes more, drugs. $32 billion business. Runaway girls in the United States, 1/3 of them within 48 hours get hooked up with a pimp. It happens in good families, it happens in bad families. And you know why it happens? It happens because girls in America, they pick on girls that don't have self-esteem. They pick on girls that are vulnerable. They pick on girls that may have been molested already by a family member. They pick on girls that have been exposed to violence already. They pick on girls that don't feel that society has already passed away because maybe their parents are in prison, maybe their parents are drug addicts. They pick on girls that are weak. They pick on girls that don't love themselves. And the reason it's slavery and not a choice is because they coerce them either with money or mostly it's, "I love you, baby."
I'm a prosecutor in Orange County. I've been a prosecutor for the last 18 years, and I started doing motivational speaking. As a prosecutor, I run the program called the OC GRIP program, and that involves keeping kids out of gangs. And through that, I've done tons of public speaking to different groups, organizations, law enforcement, community groups, and the main issue is how to work on a cause of people working together, making people feel valued, providing integrity and value to kids that are at risk, and then making the community leaders feel empowered that they can make a difference. One of the things I do as a prosecutor is a gang prevention program, and we work with different companies to help encourage them to mentor at-risk kids. Ford Motor Company has worked with OC Grit for a long time, and they mentor kids, and they decided to make a commercial about the good work they're doing in the community.
My mother was 19 and pregnant with me. The night of my grandfather's funeral, my grandma was 49 years old. She graduated from UCLA, had never written a check in her life, had never had a job. And her youngest of 4 children comes up the day she buried her husband and says, "I'm pregnant and I'm married at 19. My grandmother helped raise me, and she and my mother were 100% sure they were going to stop the cycle. So they education, and she kept telling me about education, but they did something that wasn't so funny. Every time a teenage girl would be pregnant in public, my whole life, they would turn to my sister and I and say, a few seconds of pleasure, a whole lot of responsibility for life. It wasn't until my sister and I were 40 years old, and they set us up for a few seconds of pleasure. Fall in love with yourselves every day. Think of that little girl. And when you think of a little girl that you're inside of you, then give that love to another little girl out there. You are part of an amazing organization. A group of women getting together can change the world. In fact, I believe it's the only thing that ever really has. Love yourself first, and then reach out and don't let society tell you those girls are gross. Love them back. Thank you very much.
Oh my gosh, so she started off and it was just like, she captivated you right from the beginning. I was just like, oh my gosh. And with the stories about the human trafficking and all that, and I don't know how she managed to like bring it all together, but she talked about the stuff from like the darkest place, and then she brought it so light, and she brought it to like the whole spiritual about loving yourself and all that, and we're all crying in the room, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it went through the whole broad, like the spectrum of emotions. It was just fabulous. I was just, oh my gosh, I had to give her a hug right now. I was like, this is phenomenal. You're a great public speaker, and she just really, really brought it home and touched my heart.
I think it was unbelievable. It made me cry, and I haven't cried in a long time. Her involvement in it and her making us, go back in time and try to make ourselves see that, we don't need to be anybody else, and we just need to be ourselves and love life and just enjoy life and don't worry what anybody else thinks. That was just so empowering. And the way that she was talking about human trafficking and how everybody needs to be loved was just so inspiring. I think this was the best speech that I've ever heard.
I love speaking to groups of people. I love watching a group of people and watching their faces when I'm speaking and actually realizing that you made a difference in their life, or they stopped and thought about their life a little bit differently. Today, several of the women were crying while I was talking, and it means that I reached them emotionally, and maybe they'll live their lives with more joy or more self-love after hearing my speech.